I'm a marriage and family therapist by day. I also run a social services agency which we set up within our community center, and it's called Jaffrey Support Services. It is actually a different and unique model within the community in that it is a professionally run social services agency. And I also do speaking and writing on issues that impact family life. The way I came to my work was actually, there was just such a need. So people were always having these conversations about challenges around parenting, about relationships, about managing difficult relationships, easy relationships. And at least when I started this work over a decade and a half ago now, there wasn't too many people that you could turn to for advice and guidance, which was best practices, current best practices, as well as through the filter of faith as well. I call myself a repentant lawyer. I used to be in the world of corporate and commercial law, worked very long hours, had 2 children while I was in law school. And what I was finding was, although it was very glamorous, for me it was not soul satisfying at all. And by this time I had 2 young children, so I decided that, to take time off and actually spend time with them. I'm not sure how it exactly happened, but people would come for advice. That's how it actually started. And when I felt myself doing that a lot, I decided that, listen, if I'm doing this, I better get some training and some qualification for doing what I'm already doing. And that's how I went back to initially did some different trainings and then went back to school full time while my daughter went to university at the same time. When I was home with the kids, I enjoyed being a mother more than anything else that I'd ever done. So it didn't feel like a sacrifice at all. Did I miss the glamour, if I'm very honest? Maybe sometimes. But I also think, had I gone for more meaningful work in the beginning, meaningful for me that is, maybe in human rights law or something else, I might have actually stuck on. But I was basically a clog in the corporate world. It wasn't scary, and I'll tell you why it wasn't scary, because I always had support. When parents give you the freedom to explore and, in a sense, allow you to make your own mistakes and figure out your own path, with guidance, of course, you don't have too much unfinished business. You can take responsibility for yourself. So when I said that I wanted to have kids and stay at home, my husband said, great. My parents said, great. There was never any pressure from them. People at work thought it was a bit odd that I would give it up, but the family never did, and I think that makes a huge difference. The kind of work that I do is so deeply soul satisfying that it's really difficult to put into words. I mean, even here, I met somebody who never met before, and she said, you've changed my life. And that's what keeps me going. A lot of people have an impact which they don't recognize. I think all of us are doing work which, if we do with the right intentions, we don't know where the good work is going. So I think all of us do work which we don't realize the impact. Some of us are just lucky enough to have that kind of validation. But even if you give money to somebody who needs it at the same time, or you set up a school, you're changing lives all the time. So the key trends that I'm seeing within my work, at least, is, I think, for young people, it is identity is a big issue. Where do they fit in? Where does the Khoja aspect come in? And I think that is a fluid concept, and the children are not necessarily that that bought in to the identity as their parents might be. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think as long as we have those conversations with them. But I think way deeper than that are a lot of children have a completely different set of values than their parents. This is not something that a lot of parents are aware of. I know many young people, come to seek guidance because they are very conflicted about faith. And they don't have the comfort and the safety at home to bring up difficult issues. When we have a relationship with the child that they can open up to us, we have the in to provide some sort of guidance. I often say to parents, if you don't speak your values, then yours is the only voice missing in the children's lives, because they're getting their value messages from everywhere else. And it's not as easy as downloading your values on the child's head. It's really not like that. It needs to be done over a period of time and in sometimes very difficult conversations. So the Khoja community has a number of strengths which are often not discussed or openly acknowledged. For one, the fact that we have a worldwide community. When I moved from London, when our family moved here, one of the things that really eased the transition was we had a place to belong right from the beginning. We could walk into the community center and these were people who welcomed us. And you found, different connections. In many faith communities in the Muslim world, for example, women are not really encouraged to be part of the congregation. The Khoja community is very welcoming of women, no matter how much we we may have other issues, but we welcome women within our community centers. In terms of even amongst other Muslim faith communities, we tend to be quite forward-looking. We are open to adopting technology. Our community centers tend to be the state of the art in terms of media. Now when we go, at least in Toronto, when we go to Maulana Rizvi actually has live quizzes in his sermons. This is quite that's a big step to engage the young people. We have really amazing programming, actually, really amazing. We have really good speakers which appeal to the youth. We are doing a lot of things which are on the right track. Women do bring a different perspective, that is for sure. So the more inclusive you are to different demographics of the community. So women are definitely one of them. The youth is another. We speak a lot about involving youth. Less so, we talk less about involving women. And when we talk about involving women, it tends to be around family issues. Many communities have, quote unquote, a marriage and reconciliation committee. Not a nice name, but anyway. And that tends to be the domain of the women. Family leadership in Islam is supposed to be the man's job, and we relegate that only to the women. One thing I think that I would like to bring up, which wasn't brought up in the panel, is for business leaders, the role women can play, and even children, in the lives of especially businessmen. And this is also true for businesswomen, but I think more so for men, because the higher up you get in your success and the more, if you're the boss, you're actually not getting feedback from too many people. So you don't have access to growth because we're all blind to our vulnerable spots. And a family and children even can really add value in that. If we're open to feedback from the people who are closest to us, it can really help us grow. And that feedback is not going to be forthcoming unless we actively seek it out. One of the things that we've been talking about throughout this retreat or summit has been developing role models and encouraging the spirit of leadership and business leadership. I think one of the things that we need to talk about is also, in order to develop, to be a role model, you also need to share your challenges and the steps that you took to get to where you are. It's very easy to look at people when they're successful and not realize the journey that they've taken. And the reason that's important is because when you look at somebody who has reached the peak of their career, it can be very intimidating. And I don't know how to get there. But if you tell me that you've tried several times and failed, and you kept going, that is much more encouraging for me. Very often people come for counseling or guidance when they are facing significant life challenges and they just want to give up. And the advice is just take care of today. Just do what you need to today. Just take care of the next hour and then the next hour. Because when you are in a difficult situation, to look long term can be very overwhelming. And the way to manage that is to just focus on this minute.